first and foremost, Terry, thanks for joining, man. Really good to have you on.
Yeah, glad to be here, Raymond. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, I know marketing, lead generation, that's stuff that every MSP I've ever talked to, including myself when we were doing it, we all struggle with. This has been one of the most phenomenal responses of the guests we've had on the webinar series because there's such a pressing need for MSPs. So very, very much looking forward to hearing how you do things and how you help MSPs accomplish the needs of lead generation and how to handle those. For those that don't know, I'm Ray Rossini, CEO of OITVOIP. You know me on Reddit as OIT Ray. I'm on Discord, Slack, IT Pool Party, MSPRS, MSP Geek. Always around everywhere. Most notably the VoIP provider to MSPs. Terry, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I had an MSP for a long time, like you. I got to 49 people in 6.5 years and was approached by a strategic buyer that offered what I thought was a ridiculous amount of money at the time. So sold it, did my transition and retired. And then frankly, a small MSP out of Atlanta asked me to help him. He asked him if I could just help him by doing it for him. And that gave birth to Marketopia. Marketopia now is 5 years old. We will hit $10 million in sales this year, helping resellers grow. Basically, we get them leads and help teach them how to close them. And it's been real successful because we're pretty good at what we do, man. So we help about 140, something like that MSPs in North America, and generate about over 2,000 MSP leads a month.
Wow,
pretty big operation.
That's pretty amazing. So we want to get this started. I'm not a big fan of just talk. I want to make this engaging with our audience. So we're going to go ahead and present a poll. I want to learn a little bit about you guys. First question is going to be, where do you generate the majority of your leads? And if you don't know, that's perfectly acceptable. I know in the very beginning, I thought everything was coming from the same place. It wasn't until I started sourcing my leads, I eventually realized what was happening, where they were coming from, and we could be more strategic about it. But I'm curious where you guys are at. Seems we're at, let's see, give another 10 seconds or so for everybody to join, for everybody to vote. And, if it doesn't qualify in one of these categories or you're getting more multiple categories, just put wherever you think best. Okay, go ahead and close it out. And so it looks like we have referrals being the majority of those, a big majority of those leads that are coming in. Website traffic, digital marketing, community engagement seems to be the second highest. So being peer groups, networking groups, that kind of thing. Terry, before you get involved with MSPs, is that similar experiences that you've seen?
I'm gonna have to say that your MSPs are a little more evolved than normal. Normally, marketing is the #1 source of leads, but almost 100% of people depend on word of mouth referrals as their sources of inbound leads. So you got a pretty evolved group of people here, man. They must be pretty good at what they do. But we're gonna turn this around, because word of mouth referrals is not it's the best kind of lead, no doubt, but it's the one you can control the least. It's hard to scale word of mouth referrals. So we're gonna, at the end of the show, my goal is to flip these numbers around and allow digital marketing and outbound prospecting on the phone to overtake referrals. We should be able to probably get about 10 times the number of referrals you get on a budget that an MSP can afford. So I'm looking forward to sharing.
Very nice. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and speaking of sharing, let you share your screen so we can go through the what you have prepared for us.
Let's first start off kind of level set a little bit. I think most MSPs don't truly understand what it takes to grow their business. That's why most MSPs cite marketing and demand generation as the #1 issue they have in business. 94% of all MSPs, actually, according to the surveys that we've done, indicate that lead gen is the #1 problem they have. It's not, doing what they do is not a challenge in terms of, it's not easy to run an MSP, but getting leads and growing seems to be the #1 challenge that most have. So what we're going to do is first figure out what that means to each of us. And we're going to, I still can't control there, bud. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is go through 3 different numbers. And what I want is for everyone to do this exercise for themselves, because The numbers that matter to you are your numbers. I'm not going to tell you about averages or anything, but we'll go through a theoretical example. So go through this exercise with me here, and you'll end up a lot more equipped to achieve your dreams. So first, what I want you to do is to take your goal, right? Where do you want your business to be in 5 years or 10 years? And back that into the amount of revenue that you need to increase on an annual basis. So let's say that to achieve my goal, I'm at 1 million now, I want to get to 10 million in 10 years. I need to add $900,000 a year in annual revenue. What I want to do is to take that annual revenue number and divide that by my average annual revenue per client. So obviously, to get that number, all you're going to do is take your revenue and divide it by the total number of active clients you have. And that's going to give you your average annual revenue. So in this particular example, my annual revenue need to achieve my goals is 900,000. My average annual revenue per client is 25,000, which means I need 36 new clients this year to achieve my growth goals. All right, so to get that 36 number of clients, first of all, there is no number that's not possible. So I had the fastest growing MSP in the world, right? We grew at 50% compounded annual growth rate for 12 years. Marketopia was on the Inc. 500, right? So I can tell you that getting leads is never a challenge. In fact, it's very simple if you know what you're doing. It's not easy, but it's simple. So what I want to do is to take that 36 client goal that we came up with in our fictitious example and figure out how many leads that I need to get that number of clients. Because if you don't have the number of leads that you mathematically need to get the number of clients you need, you're relying on luck. In fact, your goals are fantasies because you're not doing what it takes to achieve those goals. So in this example, I have a 25% close ratio. I need 36 new clients. So I divide 36 by 25.25, and that gets me 144 leads needed per year. So my goals equal my dreams when I get 144 leads per year. In fact, I can take it further and say my expectation equals my dream as soon as I get 144 leads per year, right? We're not being emotional about it. We're being mathematical and logical about it. All right, so now what I want to do is to figure out what a lead is worth, because getting 144 leads is not easy, and it's certainly not cheap. It's very, very valuable though, so let's talk about that. So I take my average lifetime revenue per client and multiply it by my firm's net profit percentage. So my lifetime revenue per client is my annual revenue per client multiplied by the number of years I keep a customer. Most MSPs don't really think about that, right? Getting a customer, you can spend a lot to get a customer because you're going to keep that customer over a number of years, which adds up to a tremendous amount of money. So in this particular example, I have a $250,000 of revenue per client. It's $25,000 per year, and I keep them an average of 10 years, right? So in this example, I have $250,000 in average lifetime revenue per client, and I have a net profit percentage of 15%. That includes my net profit as a company plus what I take home as a profit, right? So 250,000 times 0.15 equals $37,500. So my average lifetime profit per client in this example is $37,500. Now yours might be higher or lower, but you'll probably be higher, honestly, because these numbers are actually very conservative. So every time you get a customer, on average, it's the equivalent of putting $37,500 of profit in your pocket, right? A very big number, and you don't necessarily think about it because it might, in that example, remember it was a $25,000 a year client. So a 2K RMR over its lifetime is going to put $37,500 of net profit in your pocket. So what you do is you take that number and divide that by the sales close ratio that you're operating with, and that gives you a value of a lead. So in this example, I have a $37,500 expected profit for the client over the lifetime, and I have a 25% close ratio. So that means every lead that I'm given is worth $9,375. Again, every lead on average, because some are great and some aren't so great, on average is worth $9,375. The lowest number I've seen is about $4,000, and the highest number I've seen is about $40,000. Every lead is worth about $40,000, right? So that is a very important number because you've got to be willing to spend what it takes to get a lead. And that's where most MSPs are emotional and illogical, because in this example, I should be willing to spend up to $9,374 to get a lead that's worth $9,375, right? Let's think about it. So if I said, hey, listen, if you give me $2,000, I'll give you $9,375, everybody would do it. Well, the reason most MSPs struggle to grow and struggle to make money and struggle to achieve their dream is that they won't. They literally say, no, I'm not going to give you a good amount of money to get a lead. So I think we got another poll here, Raymond.
Yeah, we do. So, and it is pretty impressive, knowing these numbers. I don't think many, I know I didn't in the beginning. We do now because my business development people force it on us. But in the beginning, we didn't realize these numbers. We didn't realize the value of these leads or what it really took to get there. Do you find that with most MSPs that they're just not, they don't look at the numbers that detailed in the way you're presenting them?
It's funny you ask, because I think most MSPs are very logical, intelligent people. Okay, our industry is filled with brilliant people. But when it comes to things they don't know, they get super emotional and super illogical, right? They're like,
right.
What's a lead worth? Oh, $50. And I go through that exercise with them and they're just blown away. They're like, holy cow, my leads are worth 15 grand to me. And I'm like, exactly. Yeah. The reason you're not growing is because you're willing to pay $50 for something that's worth 15,000, right? So yeah, it's a common problem.
Yeah, assigning the right values is pretty crazy. So we're going to go ahead and that'll lead us into our next our poll question. What's the largest percentage of your company's annual revenue from? I mean, it's important to know where the money's coming, where the leads are coming in from, and what they're worth. Once you close that business, where's the money coming from? New business, renewal business. We all done those O365 subscriptions, and don't give me a hard time about the misspelling renewal. I see it, but we'll kill that in post editing. But upsell opportunities, right, and cross selling. You have this, but that also helps with this. We see it on Amazon. We see it on other websites all the time. I don't see MSPs doing it, saying, well, you're getting this service, we can also do this. Are you seeing those lost opportunities too with other MSPs?
The reason I'm looking at these stats coming in, and you might be a little surprised when you see them, but what's going on right now in the market is there's a lot of net new business when it comes to projects, specifically around Office 365 and Windows 7 replacement. So it's kind of a weird time in the market. If you did this survey a year ago, the renewal business would probably be 95% or something like that. But there's a little more on the net new side because people are getting projects to just do quick implementations or hardware replacement. So it's a little bit of a different time. But in general, very few people are getting net new business. There's not enough prospecting. Leads that are coming in are a tiny fraction of what people need to achieve their goals.
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and stop this share and give you control back. It's all yours.
All right. So now that we know that number, right, we needed 144 leads a year to achieve our goal in that example. Hopefully you know your number now. Now, if with that information, you actually have the number that lines up with your as a monthly goal with the dream you have for your business. So if you want to be a retired person living the life of leisure like Ray does, right, down in Miami, probably makes a couple $1 billion a year, you can now know what that number is because you've mathematically broken it down to what you have to do on a monthly basis. And as soon as
hold on, I got to stop you there. Can you share with the class what you were doing 30 minutes before this call?
I was just on my yacht, in fact. So yeah, that's what our goal is. Everyone to be living in Florida with Ray and I, and hopefully enjoying some sunshine this time of year.
Absolutely.
So cool. Okay, so we're gonna actually to kind of get into how we're going to actually achieve that goal. There we go. Okay, so first, sorry, there's a little bit of a lag here. First, I want you to understand that marketing is far more important than you could possibly imagine. Most MSPs, when you ask them their close ratio, they would say something like 50% or 90% or 100%. What they're not realizing is that the vast majority of IT buyers are going to their website and bouncing. They don't see what they like. They're not impressed. In fact, they're opting out or going with an alternative over you without you even knowing that they exist. 87% of B2B buyers had a major impact on how they buy products or services. So in that example, you'd only know if 100 people came to your website, 87% of people would bounce if they weren't impressed by what they saw. It's a huge deal. Marketing is incredibly important. Perception is reality, in fact, right? Because most people would say that they compete on service. Well, it's impossible to compete for prospective clients on service because by definition, they're not a client yet. They won't know if you're telling the truth until after they close. So you should never, ever compete on service. That's not how you compete. What you compete on is perceived value, and have that as a relative thing to the price you charge. You should charge in the top 10, 20% of the market. In fact, if you don't in this industry, you'll lose money. So you've got to look like you're worth more so that the customers are willing to pay more so that you can charge more. Second thing is you got to understand the roles involved, right? Marketing's job is to find leads, right? It's not sales job. So the number one thing that you can do to set your salesperson up for success is to expect them to get their own leads. They're not marketing people, they're salespeople. Salespeople close leads, they don't go get leads, right? So what you want to do is to engage with a marketing organization, someone doing digital marketing. We'll talk about all the different disciplines in a minute, but task them with getting the leads you need. So in that example that we started with, we need 12 leads a month. You call someone and say, listen, I need 12 leads a month. And they put together a program to get you 12 leads a month. It's pretty simple. The number one thing you can do to set your salesperson up for success is to give them the number of leads that they mathematically need to achieve the goals that you have for them. In fact, if you don't do that, then their failure is actually on you, not on them. So how do you do that, right? You set up a sales machine for your business, right? You have to get a customer, to have that account management gear turn, you have to get a client. To get a client, you have to have demand for your services. You have to have a demand generation engine. Some people call that marketing. Passive lead conversion is a very important step in the process, and that's when you tell a prospect to everyone that you marketed to. So you might send them an email, a postcard, maybe do some online social media marketing, Facebook marketing, Google, something like that. You create interest, and then you call those people. You call everyone who's indicated interest by their actions, in fact. We call that passive lead conversion. So you market to them, and then you call them, and that sets up prospective clients with appointments, which your salesperson or the business owner converts into paying customers that you take care of for years and possibly decades. So that's what you have to do to create a lead machine and a sales machine for your business. It doesn't start with hiring salespeople. In fact, very few MSPs need to hire a salesperson. In fact, they have a pretty good salesperson on staff. It happens to be the owner of the business. They understand business, they understand technology, and they have a passion for what they do. And once we get them in front of more prospects, well, they close a lot more of them and make them sales. In fact, we don't want our clients to hire salespeople until they can afford to hire a great salesperson, because the last thing that you want to do is to take something as valuable as a lead and give it to someone who's not very good at closing it. Remember, those leads are worth 15 grand, 7 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand. The last thing you want to do is hand that to someone who's not as good at you as closing that deal. So how do people attack it in the MSP space? The vast majority of MSPs outsource marketing and demand generation. And the reason is very simple. It's very expensive to do it right. You have to have disciplines around content management, design, marketing automation, that type of thing, right? Strategy. And so it's difficult to afford that level of talent on staff, right? So most people do outsource it. Much like people would outsource IT, marketing is a very common discipline to outsource. A lot of people would then hire a salesperson thinking after you've outsourced your marketing, you want to hire a salesperson. And that's not true. Actually, the salesperson is the last salesperson hired. In fact, the CEO is a really good salesperson at most MSPs. The first hire that we recommend you make is account management, right? You actually hire someone to take care of your existing customers. And then, of course, the prospect engagement, teleprospecting. It's very expensive and difficult to do that internally, far more difficult than you might realize.
So I want to ask you a question real quick before you move on. The account management side, obviously the people you work with, that you're engaged with, those MSPs, they should be following best practices. But the ones you're meeting at the events you go to on a regular basis, how many of them actually have dedicated account managers?
Once they get larger, they kind of have to. Most MSPs, you see that number change around the 1 million to 1.5. They start separating account management from hunting. A lot of them may give it to a technician, like a senior technician. We really want it to go to more of a virtual CIO, someone who can manage escalations, but also cross-sell and upsell. A good virtual CIO can generate double the managed services revenue for their client. So if they're managing, say, $100,000 a month in managed services revenue, they can generate an additional $100,000 a month in additional services, hardware and software, that type of thing.
Are you, with those account managers, do you have a goal for a number of touches per client per time period? Like per month, per 6 months?
A quarterly update for managed services clients on a lower plan, and then a monthly or even weekly update on the higher plans. We like offering a very rich very rich assortment of services that are tailored to the individual needs of your customer so that you can offer what they need and only what they need, not trying to go to market with a very high-end, all-inclusive package that prices you out of most deals, but also doesn't offer a scant group of services that maybe undersells the capability of the MSP.
Makes sense.
All right. So how does this kind of work together? So I'm going to pause this since I was having it build here. So we talked about how to get a customer, you have to close it. And to close it, you have to get a lead. And to get a lead, you market and do appointment setting. Let's kind of back up a little bit more from that and look at this gear. So I got to make money. At the end of the day, most MSPs don't make enough money. Their businesses are not worth what they think they're worth. They're not worth what they need to be worth for them to sell and retire. And there's a lot of MSPs that are looking to retire in the next 5 years. So it's a very urgent problem. To turn the profit gear, most MSPs have capacity and need to learn how to sell higher value services like managed services and cloud and things like VoIP, in fact, actually a great profit engine for your business. So to move the profit gear, you have to move the sales gear for almost every MSP. You can't cut expenses and achieve your profit goals. To move the sales gear, you have to move the lead gear. And to move the lead gear, you simply want to market. All right, get that automation back on again. There's a delay in our little platform here. There we go. No.
Yeah, and while you're going on that, I will second the VoIP revenue is awesome secondary revenue for MSPs. So if you need anybody, I know a guy.
There we go. All right, so the gears all work together, right? So if you want to move the profit gear, you have to move the marketing gear. To do that, you want to have a great marketing strategy, something that makes sure that all the marketing elements work in concert. When you do that, the gears start to move a little quicker, right? You have a better marketing strategy. You're doing a better job with lead gen, which turns the profit gear faster. The first thing a good marketer would tell you is you have to have an amazing website. An amazing website is one that generates leads. Don't look for websites that copy content or all have the same template. You want a custom website that's designed for Google to like it as well as surfers to convert them into lead. You have to have a good list, right? You want to have a good list, offer promotional products, right? All the different gears that you add are going to increase the number of leads that you get or turn the profit gear faster, right? We want a marketing automation tool where it's going to help identify what we call passive leads, people who are interested by their actions, but maybe don't pick up the phone and call you or fill out a form. So what you do is you find those passive leads and then use an appointment setter to outbound prospect them. Now our little system here doesn't show the automation, but when you start adding that appointment setting gear in there, you start to very much accelerate the rate at which all the gears turn. You then want to have great sales and marketing collateral. You know, you want to have a great proposal template, a great marketing piece to improve the performance, the close ratio, and the average deal size and the profitability of each deal. You want to have great sales training. We have really good sales training. If you go to training.marketopia.com, it's the best training for sales in the MSP industry. You might get a sales mentor. You may join a peer advisory group like the For You to Grow peer advisory groups or HTG Evolve from ConnectWise is a great one too. You also may do one-on-one C-level marketing. So all of the gears, when they work in harmony, as you can imagine, start to rapidly accelerate the pace at which each gear turns, especially that profit gear. So as an MSP, if you want to grow your business, you can simply look at this graph and say, if I want my profit to grow, I have to get my sales to grow. If I do get my sales to grow, I got to get more leads. And if I want more leads, I got to do more appointment setting and marketing. In fact, all the little gears are what Marketopia does. We will do multi-touch marketing. We'll do all the gears on this thing to help you grow your business. So it's a great, simple way of kind of thinking about how it is you might grow your MSP. But I can tell you this, to grow your profit, you can't just hire a salesperson. In fact, without leads, salespeople don't succeed and they represent a cost to your MSP, not a profit or revenue source. All right, so how do you go after the market, right? We're MSPs, we don't have huge budgets, we're not marketing experts, so I'm gonna walk you through sort of a step-by-step process to go out there and get these leads, right? Before you market, you gotta understand that you're not Coca-Cola. You don't have $1 billion in marketing budget. In fact, you're very constrained. It's difficult for a lot of MSPs to come up with $3 grand, $5 grand, 10 grand a month for marketing, right? So we need to laser focus on the kinds of leads that are good for us, uniquely to us. We have uniqueness about us. We have a knowledge about particular industries, size customers. Maybe we're good at working with certain levels of people or sizes of company. We need to know what our strengths and weaknesses are to know what we can close, because the last thing you want to do is to pay $1,000 for a lead that you can't close. So you want to take a look at your market and say, okay, who fits my ideal prospect profile, right? When we close a new client, that's the first thing we do. We get them a list of all the people in their market that fit their ideal prospect profile. All right. The second thing we do is to launch a robust marketing effort, right? What we want to do is to do a combination of inbound marketing and outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is when you're helping people looking for you find you. Think Google, right? If I want to make sure that I'm on the first page of Google, that's inbound marketing, helping people that are looking for me find me. And if you talk to an inbound marketing agency that's biased, they'll tell you that that's enough. I will tell you, as someone who's had 9 businesses so far and help hundreds now, that is not enough. Managed service providers will have to wait years for inbound marketing to generate a consequential and reliable flow of inbound leads. It takes literally years to develop a reliable flow there. What you have to do is to complement inbound marketing with outbound marketing, which is the process by which you go out there and find people who might be interested in you. When you do both of them together, as you can see by that gray gear, when you do the two together and you overlap them, you do a combination of inbound marketing and outbound marketing to the same market, that's where the leads come from. So think digital marketing for inbound, and then think teleprospecting for outbound marketing, right? If you digitally market to people and then you call them, you will generate roughly 10 times the number of leads that you would if you just relied on inbound marketing. So you want to go to an agency that does both inbound and outbound marketing, or you can put yourself in the middle and hire 2 different agencies, right? But what you want to do is to do both. And you want to market to your ideal prospect profile. You don't want to market to the kind of people that you can't close. So inbound marketing, think your website, SEO, SEM, social media marketing, social media advertising, which is paid social media, public relations, email marketing, content marketing. Outbound marketing would be cold calling and warm calling. And the difference there, warm calling is when you're calling people you've already marketed to. You try direct mail, trade shows, and seminars, right? Those are the types of things that you do. And an MSP on a limited budget might say, hey, Terry, which one is best? And I would tell you this, don't do any of them alone. You got to do them all. You want to find a way for you to cost effectively do both inbound and outbound marketing to get a reliable flow of leads. Our average customer generates around 7-8 leads a month net new. That's anyone who outsources both inbound and outbound marketing, but our largest customers could get 40 or even 100 net new held appointments a month with prospects. So those numbers can get very large, and I can tell you that getting more is simply turning the dial faster or doing more of the things on the screen. That's how you get more leads.
I think it's relevant to point out here that, you say 7 or 8 as it's a successful number. You go back to basing things based on emotion and feelings. You talk to the average MSP and saying, oh, I'm only getting 7 or 8 leads a month, and they look at it like it's a negative thing. But you're saying 7 or 8 leads, given the right context, of course, and the right amount of effort, that's a very good start.
Well, for me, when I use lead, I actually think of held appointments, not people who've liked my Facebook post or anything like that. You can get it. The reality is the only constraint that you'll have if you work with a great agency is money, right? You can get as many leads as you want. We can get an MSP 40 leads a month. We do it. We have MSPs, we generate 40 net new managed services prospect appointments held in a month. So it's not like it's impossible. You just have to be able to spend the money that it takes to get it. And the nice thing about spending money on leads is they have an ROI, right? To get a lead, when you get a lead, you get a sale. When you get a sale, you make money. So there's a ROI, or a return on investment, for that expense. The next thing you do is you want to reach out to everyone that you market to. Think demand gen events, conferences, but most importantly, appointment setting, teleprospecting. Every sales rep should have a dedicated appointment setter to their function. This is a very important part for an MSP to understand. In B2B, you have to market to people and then call them. You can't do one or the other. In terms of effort, your outbound prospector should make between 250 and 500 calls every week. If you make about 500 calls every week, you will generate approximately 8, maybe 10 net new managed services prospects a month if you market to them before you call them. For the average MSP that has a 25% close ratio, you're looking at generating 2 or 3 net new MSP clients a month for every business development rep they have. So if you have 3 salespeople, they should generate 3,000 to 5,000 of net new RMR per month, as long as you empower them with great marketing and demand generation resources. So how do you improve results? First, understand that you don't have to know this stuff, guys. We need to eat our own dog food as an industry. If you're a marketing expert and you have the budget to hire a 4 or 5 person team, man, go for it. That's what I had to do. When I grew my MSP, we were the fastest growing MSP in the world and we killed it. But we also had a really robust internal marketing department that was costing me about $100,000 a month in total spend. We were spending a lot of money to grow. Actually, it's not quite that much, maybe about $50,000 a month. It was a lot of money that we spent in marketing. You don't have to do that anymore. There's a lot of third parties out there that have created cost-effective solutions designed for MSPs specifically. You got to go find those people. Admit that you have a problem. Admit that marketing isn't your thing, or maybe you need more sales training, and go out there and find the kinds of resources that you need to grow. I mentioned training.marketopia.com. That's a great option for sales training, and then peer groups is what we call For You to Grow. So marketing is an important part of every MSP's business. In fact, for most MSPs, that is the number one thing that separates them from achieving their dreams. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
So one of the first questions that came in was those formulas you mentioned at the front. Would you be able to share those formulas?
Absolutely. They're going to be in the recording. Actually, we're going to send the recording out, I think, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, the recording will go out, like I said, 2 or 3 days. We'll try to get it sooner, but it'll be there. Let me see here. Let me take over.
If you reach out to me, I'll actually get on the phone with you and do it live. We'll do your numbers for you. We'll translate your dreams into an achievable monthly goal for marketing and help you figure out how to go get it.
That is pretty awesome. That's a phenomenal offer. One of the questions, so we have here, any different advice for service companies such as attorneys or accountants? I know you guys focus mostly on MSPs and VARs, but some marketing advice as far as sales leads and market generation, that's universal, right?
So let me give a little bit of a caveat. You got to step back a little bit. So there's a huge difference between B2B, or business to business, and business to consumer. So if you're an attorney who focuses on corporate law and you're going after business to business clients, or if you're a CPA going after other businesses, then the marketing approach that we talked about today is exactly what you should do, right? It's very similar. A CPA lead and an MSP lead are very similar. People change MSPs very infrequently, just like that they replace their accountant or attorney. So the process and the quantity is very similar to what we've talked about. If you're going after business to consumer, it changes everything. At that point, it's more spray and pray. You're trying to get to the mass market. You're not shooting a laser. You're shooting a shotgun shell, right? So what you want to do in B2C is to go after broad marketing approaches like billboards, television. Digital marketing is still an element, but calling people is not as effective unless you have a much more compelling power dialer, and there's a different scientific approach to going after B2C. But fundamentally, the concept of I need leads to get customers, and I need customers to get sales, I need to get sales to make profit, that is universal no matter how you approach. And most technical people, most very intelligent people, for whatever the reason, do not invest in marketing. They're quick to buy a laptop or hire a tech, but really slow to buy a lead. Oh, yeah. You can't pay for those techs unless they have billable work to do.
So something I wanted to ask, and it's funny because you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, we're very quick. We're always monitoring, what the deals are coming up from our distributors, right? From Cynics, Tech Data, whatever. We're always looking at what the newest technology is, or Microsoft 365, what the latest offering is. But usually I don't hear a lot of MSPs saying, oh, we just enabled this piece of marketing automation or this piece of sales automation, or we're looking at these new metrics. We get so focused on the tech side. And that leads me to my next question. So I like to think we have a pretty dialed in process for some of the things we do. And even with that, You were able to teach me something this morning or this afternoon, when we talked about uploading to YouTube. You talked about having SEO enabled text and descriptions for the YouTube video that we upload, and the importance of that. Given what you know, and I understand you're going to be a little bit biased because of who you are, what you do, but I trust that coming from starting as an MSP, you'll answer from there. Do you feel MSPs should be doing this internally, or do you feel that this is one of those, like a CPA, like an attorney, hire the expert because the risks and the rewards are so high, you're better off engaging a company like Marketopia?
It's a great question. I'll answer honestly. The reality is the decision to hire a marketing firm is very similar to the decision to hire an IT firm. You could do it internally, right? All of our customers could hire an intern or a junior level person or their uncles, nephews, third cousin to do their IT support, right? The reality is there's a consequence to that. And our industry knows that consequence very well. It's called downtime, and it's called problems and stress, and IT being a wind at their face instead of a wind at their back. Marketing is very similar. You can hire an intern. The problem is they don't know everything, right? It's hard. Marketing is hard. I promise you that a web designer and a content writer are two different humans. A web designer and a marketing automation system are two different humans. A teleprospector that's willing to call 2,000 people a month to get you 8 net new leads is a very different person than the average marketer. There's role specialization required to achieve optimal performance. So we as MSPs could hire a designer, a content writer, a marketing automation expert, and a teleprospector. We could build a 4 or 5 person team to get us leads. The problem is, are you willing to spend $75K a year for each of those 4 or 5 people, right? Are you willing to spend $300,000 a year to get marketing? And the answer for most MSPs is no, because they can call someone like Marketopia and get it for probably a third of that price or less and achieve a better result without having any of the stress about hiring or training or managing creative people or teleprospectors, right? MSPs are not good at managing marketing or creative types because it's a different type of person. Even the tools they use are different, right? A creative person wouldn't want to use ConnectWise or Autotask, right? They have different platforms that they use to manage their business. So if you want to do it internally, man, absolutely. But until you get to probably 100 people, it just doesn't make sense. Your cost per lead will be roughly 3 times the cost per lead of doing it with an outsourced third party. And whether that's Marketopia or not, there's other good people out there. Just get the help you need. If you're good at something, you're generating leads, then God bless you, man. But if you're not, don't be too proud to get help. Your future's at stake.
Yeah, and I think that's, and it's worth noting, just like the formulas you did at the very beginning, and just like we're talking about now, you don't know what you don't know. It's not so much just hiring somebody to do your outsourced, appointment setting and your SEO and your marketing, but a company like Marketopia. And this isn't the Marketopia show. I want to be very clear with the audience. This is giving good, sound advice to people who need it, and we're leveraging your experience. But you know your stuff. So using a company like Marketopia or whoever you engage with, you guys are also going to know how to do the reporting, what metrics are valuable and what are just random white noise, right?
Marketers love to talk about things that have nothing to do with results. Or not, maybe let's back up. It is results, but it's results in a myopic sense, right? You want to talk about marketing when it comes to leads and closed deals. You want a marketing firm that's not focused on Facebook likes or AdWords or impressions or any kind of KPI that is relevant but not important to you. What you care about is how many on-site appointments did I get with a prospect? How many prospects did I speak to on the phone? What percentage of those deals became sales? What was my RMR generated? What is my ROI on my marketing investment? Those are the KPIs you want to focus on. So while clicks and likes are important, opens on emails are important, if you are working with a marketing firm that calls those leads, find a new marketing firm. MSPs are not very good at translating marketing qualified leads or MQLs into sales. They need help nurturing those leads, becoming appointments, and then help closing those deals.
And that kind of leads into the next question asked by Randy. He's tried other marketing companies before. They haven't been successful. And unfortunately, SEO, marketing, lead generation, there's the quality and then there's a snake oil out there. And it's hard to differentiate between the two. Um, you're guessing, I understand you're guessing, these are all hypotheses, but why do you think many marketing companies fail at producing results for MSPs?
There's really a few different reasons. First, categorically, if they're generating appointments for you, then marketing's working. If you're not closing those appointments, then you have a sales issue, not a marketing issue. Okay, so then you want sales training, maybe new proposal templates, marketing collateral, things like that. If the marketing isn't generating appointments, then you have a marketing issue, right? You need your marketing to generate net new held appointments for you. So to do that, you want to hire a marketing firm that does all the steps necessary to turn a web surfer or an email opener into an appointment for your MSP. Sadly, most MSPs fail because they have hired marketing people who do a fraction of the steps required to get a lead, or frankly, they cut it too short. They're not committed to it. Marketing is something that you should commit to over the long term. It's not a month-to-month option. You don't want it out every month. You don't want to get into a quarterly contract. Whatever you invest in with marketing, have at least a year-long horizon. Because to see an ROI, you've got to get a lead and then close a sale. So if it takes the marketing firm 3 or 4 months to ramp up, and then it takes your sales team 3 or 4 months to turn a stranger into a 5-year managed services contract, you're looking at a very long term, right? It might be 6 months to generate a strong ROI. Marketopia guarantees positive ROI on our monthly spend by the 180th day. And that's kind of how we gauge success. We want to have our nut covered within 6 months, and very seldom does it not happen. And then after that, you're playing with the house's money. It's a lot easier to spend money. If someone asks you for 10 grand a month, it's a lot easier to give 10 grand a month if you've already given you 20 grand a month of net new RMR.
So I want to go back to that. You glanced over it very quickly, but you actually have a guarantee on ROI on the 6 month mark?
Yeah. So how Marketopia works, we are kind of unique in the sense that we will start off with branding, logos, brochures, websites, do all the digital marketing and the appointment setting, and then we give you sales training to close the deal. So we have an impact over the entire life cycle. The net result is that you close more business. And what happens at Marketopia, if they haven't covered their nut within 180 days, I will actually chip in my money to help get them successful. We'll do different things with them. We'll basically start investing more in helping them be more successful. If it turns out their close ratio is going to be 2%, then we need to give them a lot more at bats to get that close percentage to yield ROI.
Wow, that's talk about buy-in from talk about a real partnership, right? You're not just saying give me money and I'll give you some stuff. You're saying I'm going to guarantee what I do, and if I can't do it, I'm going to put some of my own money into to get you what you're looking for.
That's what partners do. I think you guys are very similar. You want people to succeed with you. There's a lot of different VoIP providers out there too, right? There's a lot of people who have selling VoIP. Well, a great partner is one that helps you succeed, helps you see a positive ROI, helps you close business and make profit. And I think that's something that our firms are similar with. That's the goal. The goal is not to sign up a reseller or sign up a customer and make $1. We want to make people successful. We want to make people see positive ROI, achieve their dreams. I want to see our clients become wealthy. We have clients that have pentupled the size of their business over the last few years. One of our customers has closed 17K RMR so far this year. Net new. That's nice. No joke, man. That's life-changing numbers for a lot of people. And every MSP deserves that. They're hardworking people. They just aren't business people by and large, and therefore they don't understand how important marketing is. They don't invest enough in it, and they don't achieve their goals. I came out of retirement, man. I don't have to do this anymore. I retired when I was 38 after I sold my MSP to help people. And at the end of the day, what I want to see is the MSPs out there sell their business for $5 or $10 million so that they can retire and live the lifestyle that their hard work deserves.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that's talked to me on a regular basis in our partner Discord or MRU, ITPP, that stuff, they've heard me say a million times over, I don't want to be the only millionaire on the island. This is really a shared success model. We want to invest in you. We want to raise the tide and all come up together.
Yep.
So we look for people that can help us do that. And there's a perfect example of that. So I see a question here from Channing asking, thoughts on hiring appointment setters out of college and promoting them to account managers or sales reps. I'll go ahead and preface with the three you're describing: appointment setters, account managers, sales reps. Those are three vastly different skill sets, right?
Absolutely. And I can tell you the hardest one to hire, retain, and manage is the teleprospector. The most valuable salesperson is as an MSP closer. They're worth their weight in titanium, right? If they're good at closing deals, man, they should never do anything but close deals. They should never prospect. They should never network. They should never take care of customers. They should just close leads given to them. You could hire a teleprospector internally, and at face value, it may look cheaper. But as someone who has 60 something of them on staff, I can tell you the turnover is extraordinary. The training requirements are extraordinary. The management processes, the management technologies, the management discipline and time required to manage them is extraordinary. The spiffs and gamification and all of the processes that you have to go through to make them successful is far more complicated. I think we're bringing it internally makes a lot of sense as if you're going to have about 3 people. If you're going to afford 3 teleprospectors, you can afford a manager to manage them, because it's going to take a team lead or a manager for every 3 or 4 callers you have. So I think that's where the numbers start to make sense. I know a lot of MSPs have tried to bring it internally and they just quit. They quit after 30 days because, you know what? Making $2,000 a month isn't easy. Getting told no 1,992 times a month, it isn't easy. So you'll see a lot of people get in there, try it for a month or 2 and then quit. And then the MSP's got to go out there and train the next person and get them up to bat. Hopefully they have somebody. And so it's a resource that frankly is a whole heck of a lot easier to outsource for a lot of people. And I didn't even have that in our business model when we launched, in fact. But there's other great firms out there that do that, that do teleprospecting. Just make sure that they work in concert with your digital marketing team, that they're working together and collaborating together. Because the last thing you want to do is to have them working on islands, cold calling instead of warm calling.
Yeah, and I think that's, when you're looking for these people, you don't see guarantees very often, but I'm going to say, I know if I'm going to look for somebody that's going to do those services for me, I'm going to look for somebody that's going to have some kind of guarantee, some kind of skin in the game.
Yeah.
It's just my 2 cents.
Absolutely.
So one of the other things I see here, Michael Sullivan asks, do you see a good return on investment for social media marketing? He says, it doesn't seem focused enough for B2B sales.
It depends what you're looking for. Social media marketing generates what they call an MQL, or a marketing qualified lead. A social media marketer will jump up and down and say, hey, I've got 10 MQLs this month. An MSP will look at an MQL and realize and think that it's worthless because it didn't generate a sale. What they missed is that there was an internal spot that was missed. The process by which you turn an MQL into an SQL, or a sales qualified lead. That takes marketing and nurturing and appointment setting. So Facebook marketing, Google marketing are critically important to a marketing strategy, but they're just a piece of it. It's 10% of marketing. In fact, even a robust inbound marketing strategy or digital marketing strategy generates only 10% of the leads that it could generate if you complement it with an outbound strategy as well. So our digital marketing team is amazing. Okay, they're very good at what they do, but when they work alone, they generate 1 out of the 10 leads that they would have generated if they worked along with a teleprospector to complement them.
Absolutely. So this question comes up often, and I had this myself. Obviously, you work with many MSPs. That's your business model. I imagine in some areas you might have overlap with MSPs in the same physical geography. Can you speak to that overlap, and does it or does it not affect them? When you're working with multiple MSPs in the same geography.
The answer is it affects them incredibly a lot. Okay, the last thing in the world you want to do is to get onto a marketing program where you're using the same content as other people in your market. If you send a direct mail piece, let's say, you sent them a direct mail piece, right? If I sent that same direct mail piece to 20 different prospects, that's fine, right? I might get a lead out of that. But if 20 MSPs send the same direct mail piece to the same prospect, you've humiliated yourself and lowered the perceived quality of your firm to a point that you'll probably never recover from. So the last thing you want to do is get into a marketing program where you might send the same email or same direct mail piece to the same prospect as other of your peers. Marketopia does not believe in that. We will market to two people in a market, but we'll always market unique content. So we have exclusivity by market. Never get into a marketing program where you're using syndicated content. And there's a lot of companies out there that have great platforms, maybe where they log in and can pull emails down and send them out. And they're very inexpensive because there's no customization. There's no exclusivity in market. The problem is that MSP is destroying their reputation. They're not building it because they're sending out the same email as maybe hundreds or even thousands of MSPs. They're actually destroying the brand reputation that they've worked years to build. So you want to get to a marketing company that produces unique content specifically for you is ideal, but that of course is much more expensive than its unique content for your market. Marketopia has 3 clients for each market and provides exclusive content for all 3. But we, on the syndicated side, will have the same content sent in Atlanta as it is in New York, perhaps. There's no overlap, but it is cheaper, much cheaper than truly unique content.
Absolutely. So
your website should never be copied. Your content should never be copied. There are so many people out there that can take a piece of their website and Google it, like a sentence, and Google it, and there are 100 MSPs that have that same sentence. That's humiliating to you, but more importantly, to Google, it shows piracy. So they lower your rankings drastically because you've pirated your content. And there's a lot of different marketing firms in our industry that are preying on the naivety and the frugality of a lot of MSPs and giving and selling them content that is actually literally the same exact website as their peers. And we see it every day. You can Google a sentence on your website and you'll see hundreds, maybe 30, 40, 50, 100 MSPs that have the same paragraph, sometimes the exact same website as you do. You just can't do that. Your reputation is worth far more than that.
Absolutely. So are you guys actually generating unique per MSP, unique content?
Yep. How Marketopia works is every website is unique. All content is unique per market, right? So we offer 3 marketing clients per, like let's say Miami, you're in Miami. We'd offer 3 different clients in Miami unique content and that's it. So once we get 3, we sell out. There are firms out there that literally will sign up 50 MSPs in Miami and give them all the same direct mail pieces and then basically destroy the businesses of 50 different MSPs in a month.
Wow. So many of our clients, we have a good portion of our clients that are doing VoIP only, right? They're just telecommunications or they're maybe an ISP, but I think this question is universal. Gary's asking, he's in the office telecommunications business, but his question is, how does he get directly to a decision maker? I think if I could rephrase this, do you have any tips for getting past the gatekeeper, getting directly to the DM?
So there's 3 different people involved in the sales process, right? You have the gatekeeper, you have the influencer, and you have the decision maker. Only amateur salespeople believe they should talk to the decision maker alone. And I say that because, first of all, think about your business. How hard is it for a prospective vendor to talk to you? The reality is, for most of us, we've created people, we've empowered people, we've delegated to people to make decisions. We may be the ultimate decision maker, but if someone wants to sell us a new payroll company, they're better off to start off with the accounting manager, get their buy-in, and then come to us, right? So that accounting manager would be an influencer to us as a decision maker. What you want your marketing company to do is to stop when marketing stops. Marketing stops when you walk in the door and you shake the hands of an influencer or a decision maker. At that point, sales takes over. It's sales' job to earn the trust of the gatekeeper, to earn the buy-in of the gatekeeper, and earn the endorsement of the influencer, and then earn the endorsement of the influencer when it comes to the decision maker. That's sales. So marketing's job is to find qualified leads and get you in the door with influencers and decision makers. And then sales job is to turn influencers into decision makers, and then decision makers into 10-year managed services contracts with automatic renewal clauses and annual price increases. That's sales.
That makes sense. And so
telco, cloud, MSP, absolutely.
It's all universal. Yeah, I mean, sales at the end of the day, you have a lot of tenets, a lot of core principles that are going to apply universally. How you execute them, of course, is going to change industry by industry, but at the end of the day, you're trying to get to the same people regardless, especially in B2B. So, we have a longer list of questions. This is supposed to cut off at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to ask one more question and then let Terry wrap up. The questions that have not been answered, I will provide them to Terry, and he'll get back to you by email, or he'll contact you directly. So don't worry, we are not going to leave anybody out in the cold, but I want to be, respectful of your times. Last question, as we talk about, getting leads and, as they come in, we're all aware of the ConnectWise, the AutoTask, the Salesforce, the big CRM platforms. Can you recommend a simple or inexpensive program to manage leads that is not one of those major packages?
Frankly, we love those packages. We love filling them up with 25, 50, 100 qualified prospects, and then letting the salespeople use it. There's no magic in the system. It's a repository, a list of opportunities to keep everything out in front of you so that you don't lose track of a great pursuit. The reality is, for most MSPs, the issue isn't the CRM tool. It's not the PSA tool. There's Autotask and ConnectWise are both very good tools. We integrate with both of them. We provide seamless integration because we want to be on the same page as our clients. What the reality is, though, for most MSPs, and I'll kind of wrap up with this, they need leads. It's really that simple. When they look at the mathematical numbers that we started with, the reality is that they're not getting the number of leads that they need to achieve their dreams. It would be a travesty for you to work for 10, 20, 30 years, give up your life working your butt off as an MSP, and not have the exit be what you dreamed it would be. If I could do one thing for all the OIP resellers out there, it would be this: do what it takes to achieve your dreams. Back into those numbers. Understand what the requirement is with customers and what the requirement is with leads on a monthly basis for you to achieve your needs. Because what I want you to do is to look back in 5 years and say, man, I got 8 leads a month. I closed 2 clients a month. That's 36 clients a year. I added $60,000 of managed services revenue every year over the life of my MSP. And in 5 years, I now have a $3.7 million recurring revenue MSP that's worth $4, $5, $6 million when it comes time to sell. That's the bare minimum that any of us should expect when it comes time to sell our MSP. And it's very easy to achieve your dreams if you do what it takes to achieve their dreams.
Absolutely. And, with that, that's a great high note to close this out on. Terry, I know you had a special offer for those that are present on the webinar today. And you mind if I go over to that slide? And
yeah, absolutely. 2 things. Anyone on here, I will go over your numbers with you. I will put a growth person on the phone, a consultant that literally does this for a living. He will convert your dreams into a monthly requirement. He will give you those numbers. I'll do that for free for everyone on here. And if you do sign up, I'll give you 50% off your first month, and I'll give you 3,000 leads, 3,000 people who fit your ideal prospect profile for us to go out there and market. Just mention you're with OITVOIP, and we will ensure you're taken care of with a great price and a great service. And frankly, a whole lot of VoIP leads, because we love selling voice. It's a great product, and it's a complement, a very easy add-on for a lot of MSPs. And we certainly recommend it as part of any kind of bundle, and market the heck out of it. So look forward to helping you, VoIP, OIT. I look forward to helping you, and I hope resellers achieve their goals.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks again, Terry. Thanks so much. Like I said, this will go out. Terry will answer any questions we weren't able to get to today. And, by all means, please, contact him, contact me if you have any questions. I'll put our contact information up. But, reach out, because, Terry's just like me. He's one of those that's always out there, heavily engaged in the community. He's always willing to answer questions. He's genuinely engaged in the success of the people he talks to. So I strongly recommend you reach out to him, and I'm always available. Thanks again for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Terry, thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Ray.
All right, take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching. For more videos just like this one, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the alert icon so you get notified of new videos, or check out some of these videos below.